Welcome back to Practical AutoCAD and Inventor and our Autodesk Inventor Certified User Exam Prep series. In this video, we'll walk you through the process of modifying an existing Inventor model, an essential skill for the certification exam. You'll learn how to adjust features, edit sketches, and apply design changes efficiently, all while maintaining a well-structured model. Let's get started. There are several ways to modify your models in Autodesk Inventor. If I take my mouse, for example, and come over here and click on any one of my features, I've got this extrusion here. Extrusion number 1 is just this big block that I started with. If I click on that, you'll see that I get this little menu that pops up, and it gives me some different options here, such as editing the extrusion or editing the original sketch, sharing this sketch, and so on. If I wanted to edit this extrusion and just make it longer, I could click on that button right there, and you'll see now that it takes me back in time to before any of those other extrusions were there, and I could simply modify this number by saying I want it to be a 2-inch extrusion, and then choosing OK, and it changes the extrusion length to 2 inches instead of 1.5. If I wanted to edit the original sketch, I can do the same thing. Click on that surface, go to this second one here, and you'll see that I've got this rectangle basically that says it's 1.5. I could come in and I could change each of these as well, so that I have changed my entire block now, and it comes back in and it changes the whole thing. Now, in addition to doing that in the model browser, or in the model here, I can also do the same thing in the browser over here. For example, if I look at extrusion 1 and I right click on extrusion 1, you'll see here that I have the ability to edit the sketch or edit the feature. So if I work in reverse order, now first of all, I'll go in and I'll edit that sketch, and I'll change it back to 1.5 in each direction here, 1.5 there, and then 1.5 and 1.5 here, and it changes that one. Or I can right click on the extrusion here and choose that I want to edit the feature. Again, it takes me back to the original one here, and I can say I also want that to be 1.5, and then OK there, and it takes me back to the original state that I had. Notice that when I right click on here and then I choose, for example, edit the feature, that it makes this one bold, saying, hey, I'm working on this feature here, and the subsequent features that would show up under that are all suppressed while I'm editing this feature. If at some point in time, or when I'm done and I choose OK, it unsuppresses the rest of these features all the way around. Now, if I wanted to come in and add some fillets, for example, I could come in and I could say I want to add fillets, and I could change my size here. I'll say 0.0625, a 1/16 of an inch. I can come in and I can pick my surfaces or my edges that I want to fillet. There's several different ways to add fillets, but I'm just going to add these right now. And notice that you can pick object or surfaces through the object. You just kind of have to be careful with it, and say OK. And so now I've filleted all of those. In this history over here, it gives me the ability to check out all of my different extrusions. For example, if I go to extrusion number 2, okay, that's that letter A. Again, if I right click on it, it gives me the ability to come in and edit the sketch or to edit the feature, so I could make that extrusion go a different direction. If I wanted that one to pop out, for example, I could make it an add, and I could change the direction and say OK, and now instead of being recessed into the object, it actually extends from the object. I'm going to undo that and send it back the way it was. Another thing that you can do while you're editing the model is you can change where the end of the part is. So for example, if I wanted to do something before this fillet, I could take the end of the part, click and drag and move it up before the fillet. Then I could add some other features in here if I need to, and then take the end of the part and drag it back down as necessary. So the end of the part, I can come in and I could put it right below there. So now it's as if, these are all They're sort of like suppressed, but they just don't even exist yet on the parts. I can see what they are if I hover over each one, but you can come back in here and you can change the end of the part. And if I make a change here, it's going to affect everything else in the part order. So just be careful if you change the end of the part that you don't do, something that you want. Let me give you one example of that. If I come in here, for example, and I drag the end of the part all the way up here, and then I add my fillets. I come in here and I add all of those fillets, and I'll just say all of those fillets on the outside edges there. It all looks fine here, but when I try to drag the end of the part back down, you'll notice that I get this message saying, hey, there's problems, and if I choose accept, it go ahead and finishes it out, but notice it puts these blue badges over here on the left. And that's because when I filleted these edges, I had, when I created this sketch for the A, for example, it was based on the edges of this sketch that now no longer exist because they've been filleted. So if I wanted to change that, I'd have to go back in and adjust each individual sketch and make sure that those edges still exist.